Writer's block. What you get when you don't eat enough literary fiber. Gas, bloating, hemorrhoids, and an unfinished manuscript are all symptoms of writer's block, something that many writers encounter on a regular basis. Or maybe an irregular basis? But fear not, for there is a solution, many solutions to writer's block. Things that will bulk up your novel and help you pass through the process of completing it without having to strain too hard. Today, I'm going to give you some strategies and techniques for attacking the root cause of your writer's block. This will help you get productive and keep you productive. Also, if you're a member of the Writer's Block Doesn't Exist, Stop Whining and Start Writing Club, I am too. Well, I'm an associate member, and we're going to talk about that perspective too later on in the video. All right, first step, if you're finding yourself blocked in some way, is to identify anything external to your writing process that could be causing the problem. Sleep, stress, exercise, and diet are probably the top 4 things that should be in order if you want to be a more productive writer. You can't write on an empty stomach, and while there's this cultural trope of writers being depressed, sleep-deprived alcoholics, that's generally not the sort of lifestyle that leads to good writing, or at least not a lot of writing. Well, the stress in your life and dealing with very difficult things is a great source of material for your writing. Those periods of your life when things are stressful are usually not the most productive writing times. Your good writing that's fueled by those difficult times in your life usually comes after those difficult times have passed. If you're not sleeping well, if you're under a lot of stress, if your diet and exercise is not in line, you're not going to be very productive as a writer. So those are the first things that you need to address if you find yourself frequently blocked. Second thing is to identify where the actual problem is. Sitting down and really drilling into the nature of your writer's block is something that not enough people do. Ask yourself things like, is this a problem with the process of writing or a specific problem with the story that I'm writing? Are you having trouble getting writing done at all, or are you just not sure where to go next in the story that you're currently writing? Sit down and think of as many reasons as you can why you are blocked in the first place. I guess you can do this standing as well. The first 10 things that your mind comes up with probably won't be the actual underlying reason for what's happening. But you need to kind of get those out of your head before you can really think deeper about what's going on. Self-reflection is a skill and one that doesn't get emphasized enough. We have this idea that we're aware of all of our problems or our issues. You can be struggling with your writing and think you know why you're struggling and be completely wrong. The problem can be because of something completely different from what you think it is. This sounds kind of hokey, but writing out what's causing you stress about your writing can actually help you identify these problems. When you just sit and think about something, your mind will kind of circle around on the same ideas and not really make any progress. Writing out things helps you get them kind of out of your head, and you'll probably come across some things that you wouldn't have come across if you just sat there and thought about what's going on. Writing out a list of why you think you're blocked, all of the things that could be causing problems with your writing process, will often reveal stuff that you previously weren't aware of. And yes, I am aware of the irony of telling you to sit down and write stuff out as a way to fix writer's block, but Third thing is to be compassionate with yourself in the right way. I sort of hate the term self-compassion because I think it's been co-opted into this just love yourself, you're perfect, you don't need to change kind of bullshit, which is actively harmful and just leads people to ignore their problems. This is getting into the writer's block doesn't actually exist, you just need to push through it and do the work and accept that it's going to be hard kind of thinking, which I think has a lot of validity. There's a difference between being compassionate and understanding towards yourself and ignoring problems and making excuses and not doing the hard work. Compassion, true compassion, involves criticism. It involves judgment, but it also involves patience. Self-compassion means recognizing your flaws, recognizing when you need to put in more effort, recognizing where you need to change, recognizing that you're not good enough, while simultaneously giving yourself time and space to make the changes that you know you need to make. It's acknowledging that you suck today. You're not putting the effort in, you're blocked because writing is hard and you don't accept the fact that it's hard and that it's going to be hard to push through. It's accepting that, but also sticking with yourself so that you can potentially not suck at things as much tomorrow. It's recognizing that you can simultaneously acknowledge problems and give space and have patience in order to fix those problems. Fourth piece of advice has to go with letting go of perfectionism. That was horrible. I should really reshoot that. Procrastination, which, let's be honest, is basically what writer's block is, a lot of the time boils down to a fear of producing something that isn't good or something that doesn't live up to our expectations. Writer's block is rarely that you can't physically write, it's that you can't physically write something that lives up to your standards. I guarantee that every single one of you watching this, whether you're blocked or not, could write an 80,000 word novel in the next 3 days. Notice I didn't say a good novel. I didn't even say that it needs a plot. All I said was the length of the novel. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be the story you want to write. It just has to be 80,000 words long. Hell, you could copy and paste the word pineapple 80,000 times and basically achieve the goal that I set out for you. Do that 80,000 times and you would, by an admittedly loose definition of the term, end up with a really crummy novel. I bring up this example because writing exists on a spectrum. From something that's just incomprehensible garbage that's not even qualifiable as a story, through to things that could be described as a story but aren't emotionally engaging and aren't that interesting to read, and then on to actually good stories that have some kind of merit. Writer's block is not the inability to write, it's the inability to write something that falls on the place of that spectrum where you want to be. It's not that you can't write a novel, it's that you can't write the novel that you want to write. You can't live up to your own quality expectations. The problem here is that in order to move up that spectrum, you have to produce stuff that's at the lower ends of it. This is what I think causes a lot of writer's block, and it's kind of paradoxical. You aren't writing because what you could write doesn't live up to your expectations, but in order to produce writing that lives up to your expectations, you have to produce writing that doesn't. Done is better than perfect, but good is better than done. If you're delaying finishing something, if something is taking longer than it needs to, you have to really ask yourself, am I not making progress because I want this to be perfect? Or am I not making progress because not making progress at this point in time is making this better than it would be otherwise? That's a really difficult question to answer. You have to be really honest with yourself, but a lot of times when you're blocked, when you're not making progress, it's because you're shooting for something that's perfect, not because you're actually making something better. Writing a novel is not that hard. Writing a good novel is incredibly hard. The irony of this situation is that you need to write a bad novel before you can write a good one. That's really hard to do and is why a lot of people end up stuck with writer's block. Speaking of blocking things, you're going to be blocked from watching any more of this video because we're at the end of it and there's not going to be any video. So there you have it. I'd love to hear about your writer's block experiences, how you overcome it, if you're one of the people who believe it isn't really a thing, whatever, in the comments down below. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.